Hello, welcome to Into Dorkness, episode 27. What's significant about the number 27?
It's 9 times 3.
That's not very...
Well, hang on.
Okay.
It's 9 times 3,
Yeah.
and that's the number of times we've seen Q so far in Next Generation.
3.
3, yes.
And
he only appears 9 times in the entire Star Trek canon.
which is that sad? Is that disappointing? Is it good? Too much of a good thing, they always say.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting that they blown like they knew in advance. We can only do this 9 times. That they've used up 3 of those 9 in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. That second one,
The second one was
good.
Yeah, the first one actually is my least favorite of the 3. That's the pilot.
Yeah. True.
And, I can't hold it against it because it's the pilot, right?
Wait, was it the pilot?
Yeah, Encounter at Farpoint.
He was in that?
Yeah, that's how it starts, with him stopping the ship and freezing that dude, and he takes him on trial, and then Picard's like, well, you have to give us a chance to acquit ourselves. And then they go to the planet where the giant squid thing is, and it finds its mate. And
Gotcha. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful...
Yeah, and Troy cries. She's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
I'm so blazed. Well, we've got 5 episodes of Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna cut through
the bullshit.
And this episode will be 100% Trek. If you're
coming looking for At the Mountains of Madness
next week,
Time Traveler.
Okay, like you missed your time by a
right.
week.
Now just chill out in this timeline for a week, and then download the next episode. Happy to have you on board.
There's an episode of Doctor Who.
Mm.
One of my favorite episodes. Definitely my favorite Matt Smith episode. My 11th Doctor episode.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorites overall. It's called Vincent and the Doctor. It's about them visiting Vincent Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, or Van in the Germanic languages.
Of course.
And they're waiting for this monster to show up.
Of course.
And the Doctor's kind of sitting cross-legged on in a field, and he's picking the grass, and he's like, is this usually how time goes by for everyone else? So slowly. It's a show about time travel, so it's funny.
The Doctor's an impatient fellow.
Yes.
Well, I think he might have ADD.
ADHD.
Oh, yeah. That dude is... Well, at least David Tennant, when he plays him, he's pretty hyperactive.
He was so good.
So is Eccleston. I mean, not in terms of quality, but he also had a very manic quality to him as the Doctor.
He was very sullen as well.
Who, Eccleston?
Yeah.
He seemed to get darker. Whenever he would get angry about something, like that episode where he's torturing the Dalek.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, I think, I don't know... And you haven't caught up at all.
No. The last episode I watched was the that one you and I watched with the crabs at the bottom of the city and the
people
and the cat people.
Yeah.
That was
there are cat people all over the place.
Well, and the cat nun.
The cat, yeah.
Yeah, and the
face of Bo.
Yes. That was the last one I watched.
Man, you need to catch up. It's so good.
I'm watching Star Trek, bro.
I can watch both. You can watch both too.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm also watching Angel, which is really good. I got 1 season left of Angel. Doctor Who never fucking ends.
It ended for a while, and it's back, so don't take it for granted.
What do you think of the new Doctor? The announcement, that Capaldi fellow. Have you seen him in anything?
I haven't seen him. Well, he was in an episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
As just a dude, just a regular ass dude. And I read that he was in something.
He was in a show called The Thick of It, which is on Hulu. It's a British sitcom about politics.
Hulu's got a lot of British stuff. They have this the show called
Whites.
About Losers.
Whites. Oh, Losers? Oh, yeah. Isn't that the superhero?
Yeah. I saw 2 or 3 episodes of that.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. It's
okay.
Sexy sometimes. It's very adult.
I like sexy stuff.
Very
sex
adult.
Robots.
Yeah, you like sex robots. You like sexy adults.
Sexy superhero adults.
All those things.
All those things.
Power Girl being your favorite.
If she's not your favorite,
you're liking sexy superhero adults wrong. Okay.
She's very.
I mean, Catwoman can be when a top 5,
top
3 even, but no one beats Power Girl.
Nobody.
No.
Unless you're into a different sort of body type than I am.
I'm into you
That's true. Your type versus my type is a little more.
I tend to go. I err on the wayfish side.
Right.
Power Girl's all woman, strong woman too, and I dig that.
Yeah, that's more my type. I like them hips.
Hips.
Not just the hips.
Not what's inside them.
Yeah.
Or between them. Betwixt them.
Betwixt.
What's betwixt the hips? That's the name of my
play that I'm working on.
My young adult romance novel.
Oh no.
What's betwixt the hips?
Betwixt
the hips. Stay secret at
www.
at Walliford Hall in Walliford Hall. That's
a mouthful. That's a very British sounding.
It
takes place in a boarding school. There's lots of buggery.
Yeah, so much buggery, like homo and heterosexual. It's an equal opportunity buggery system they've got set up.
You can't get pregnant off of buggery.
No, but in this world, maybe you can.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Now you want to read it. Now I've got you hooked.
But
it's like it's a book about a boarding school, and they have butt sex. Big deal. Yeah, but in this world, you can get pregnant from butt sex.
1 in 100 people can get pregnant from butt sex, and not just girls.
And you never know. It's like anyone can get pregnant, and it's like the 100th time, and the world knows. It's like the world knows.
The whole world knows.
Well, like that, like the whole world. It's not like like people around the world, like the world, like the Earth Mother knows. And so it's like, oh, this is the 98th time, this is the 99th time, 100th time, bam, dude, you're pregnant.
And they try to regulate it by having you register each time you have sex, but kids don't want to get in trouble, so they're not registering.
No, yeah.
They're having unregistered sex, which is how all these butt pregnancies are happening.
All these butt babies, and no one wants a butt baby.
Because
they come out
wrong.
They come out wrong, like backwards. Like their faces on the back of their heads. Their butts were where the pee-pee should be.
Their knees been backwards.
They look like Jabberwockies or something.
It's
something out
awful.
of the craziest Lewis
nightmare
Carroll
you've ever had.
And so they're buried underground. They're left in the sewers. It's a story.
Wait. So the whole butt babies thing is just Act 1.
Yeah,
that's the prologue.
All these young adult things, they're all trilogies and quadrilogies now. They're all, you can't just. Everyone's like, oh, well, I was writing the story, and I realized it's much bigger than one book. Bullshit. Like, you sold the first story, and you're like...
I gotta make some cash.
Or you realize, like, oh, hey, I need to stretch this out. Stretch it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
but Capaldi, he's in a British show. To get back to where this started, called The Thick of It, which is about British politics, and they made a movie of it called In the Loop, and he's pretty amazing. He's pretty foul-mouthed in it.
I heard that he has a lot of, I don't know if it was that role, but I read that he had a role where he was very comedic, but also had like some very dramatic scenes that he pulled off. He pulled both off very well.
I mean, based on what I've seen of the show and in the movie, he does both. Because like, he's really funny, but then he'll turn on a dime and just get dark.
Nice.
So it'll be really interesting to see how they change the tone to fit the actor. I mean, do they do that with each Doctor?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's so weird. I've been thinking a lot about serialized storytelling recently.
Like, they give Smith a lot of monologues, because he gives great monologues.
What did they do? Like, how would Tennant differ from Smith, would you say? Like, since all I've seen is Eccleston and Tennant.
The monologue, Tennant was a lot more, like, dry and sarcastic. Not,
whimsical?
No.
More or less whimsical, because he's pretty whimsical.
Smith is definitely more of a physical actor. He's more physical comedy for sure.
More banana peels.
Yeah, and he's always wearing the fez and the bow tie and stuff like that. You were interested in serialized storytelling.
Well, just the idea of these stories, like comic books. I've recently kind of stopped with comic books, just for a lot. Again, yeah, and I'll probably go back to them at some point. But I kind of reached a point where I was like, the story never fucking ends. And there's something kind of weird about that idea of, like, the whole purpose of narrative is it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so when you've got a character like Batman, whose story never really ends, like, it gets exhausting after a while. It's like, how much more does this guy have to take? Now, with Doctor Who, it's sort of interesting because they build in a regeneration, so it's not really the same guy.
Which is genius.
Right.
Absolutely genius. Like,
right.
Like whoever came up with that,
that's a master stroke of storytelling.
No, whoever in that writing room, I guess because the original Doctor Patrick Stewart, he was pretty fucking old when he started, and so after a year or two or whatever it was, he was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. They're like, well, shit, how do we do this?
Right. We gotta make more Doctor Who.
It was like, well, I guess we can just recast him. It's like, well, he's an alien. How about if he can die and then just turn in, he can look different after you
and his personality can change based on that.
Whoever came up with that, I want to shake your hand.
I think that's probably, at least as far as what my knowledge of never-ending serialized storytelling, that's the best solution to the never-ending story that I've ever heard.
The never-ending story.
It's also got me bummed a little bit thinking about, the Marvel movies have all been really cool so far. But, the idea, it's never really going to end, and eventually you're going to enter a phase of reduced returns, right?
Yeah.
Unless they just keep branching out into different characters. Because Iron Man, I think after Avengers 3, we're done with Iron Man, at least for a while. Unless they completely recast and, move from there.
But yeah, that definitely is a problem. They
can't sustain that forever.
But then again, man, did you ever think that an Iron Man movie would be the tits?
That people would be more excited about Iron Man than pretty much any other
than Superman or Batman. Iron Man, the Iron Man trilogy.
People love those movies.
Has made more movies than the Batman trilogy, I'm sure, right?
Made more money?
Yeah.
Dark Knight's the number 2 or 3 grossing film of all time.
Yeah, but I don't think Dark Knight Rises did too much, or Batman Begins.
Batman Begins only did about $250, but
but Iron Man 3 made a grip of money.
It did. Let me see if I can get your internet to actually pull something up.
It's not my internet. It's
the internet
studio,
at the place where
the studio's internet.
Okay, fair enough.
Into Dorkness Manor, into Dorkness Towers.
Nice.
That's where we record. For this being an episode of Just Nothing But Trek, we've talked about Doctor Who for a lot.
Yeah, let's
I just want to say I don't know how I feel yet about
Capaldi.
About Capaldi, and I won't know until I see him. But I don't know how I feel about the Doctor not being a woman.
Yeah, I was really hoping that they would go for a different gender or race or something.
Yeah.
I remember when they announced it on the geek site I frequent most often, Badass Digest, they're like, surprise, the new Doctor is a white guy.
Yeah.
But then the subtitle was but as far as white guys go, they got a good one.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't know.
Is it because, do you think it's got something to do, the world and the fandom a lot better than I do. Do you think it has anything to do with the large number, the size of the female fan base that really, has a crush on the Doctor? Do you think that they lose or they gain because instead of having somebody to be in love with, they've got somebody to admire or want to emulate? I don't know.
Well, no, because then they can just get, a cute companion. A male companion.
That's true.
Good
there's,
point.
That's an excellent point. And she can run through them the same way the Doctor runs through ladies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think we'll ever get an alien version of the Doctor where he regenerates with 2 heads or, as a dog?
I don't know if he can do that. He can.
I thought mentioned,
Eccleston
mentioned, I don't know what I'm going to look like next time around. I might have 2 heads, I might blah, blah, blah.
I don't remember that, but he can be a different gender for sure.
Okay.
That much is
for sure.
Yes. You can't be either gender. I don't know. I guess I'm not of one who's we need a female Doctor. We need one. I don't know if we need anything.
I just like to see it. It'd be interesting.
But yeah, and as far as I can tell, I don't see why, story-wise, storytelling-wise, any issues with that. If anything, it opens up
more
possibilities.
I agree.
But who knows? So
I guess, who would be your choice for a lady Doctor?
Madonna. Absolutely no. Well, with the thing,
Catherine.
The thing with the Doctors, they get folks who aren't terribly known. Capaldi is probably
the best known in a long time.
Yeah.
Eccleston was a pretty well-known character actor, but that was for a relaunch. They were trying to get
exactly. So they needed someone with some name recognition. Tennant, was mostly stage and and I don't even know Matt Smith is Matt Smith. I think, as far as I know, just came out of nowhere, just popped up one day.
Like him.
We want that lanky son of a gun. Well, apparently apparently the doctor, the only, rules that they said is that they have to be British.
That's fair enough.
I mean, but it can be man, woman, black, white, yellow, green, purple, whatever.
Love those purple British people.
Love those purple Brits. Those purple female Brits. I don't know. I don't know that many female actresses.
Emma Watson?
Emma Watson. Hermione Granger herself.
Or Emma
And
Thompson.
introducing Emma
Stone. As the
doctor. So time squared.
Speaking of time travel,
that's our good segue.
Nicely done.
Riker's the episode opens up with it's a cold open, which is it's kind of funny. I enjoyed it.
Ice cold.
Riker's making eggs for Pulaski and Geordi and Worf and Data.
That's right. They're having a little bit of a potluck. They're bringing him stuff to cook with.
Yeah. And Data doesn't seem to understand why Riker doesn't just use a replicator, which I mean. And Riker goes on about flare and whatnot,
right?
There's these little nuances in cooking it yourself, which that would make you'd think that would be Data's jam is learning about that,
right.
But anyways, the eggs suck.
Yeah, there's that moment where they who does it first? Who puts
Geordi?
Geordi, yeah, and just has that look of that horror. And Pulaski has a really funny face too when she eats it for the first time, because they don't want to hurt his feelings, but it's clear that it didn't.
And Riker makes an excuse we're only as good as your ingredients.
And Worf's just fucking
Worf fucking shoves it into his mouth.
He's like, it's delicious.
But then the episode proper begins. We find a floating shuttlecraft, even though there should be no other ships in the area. I'm talking about area for miles and
for kilometers
and whatnot
and light years and shit.
Space years. They pull it in, they tractor beam it in, and they find out that it's the 5th shuttlecraft from
the Enterprise, and wrapped inside like a marshmallow peep inside of a plastic egg.
Well, they look over and they put the 5th shuttle is where it should be.
Right, yeah.
And so they open it up.
And there's a Picard inside.
There's a sleepy Picard, sleepy time Picard.
Somebody already had his sleepy time tea.
So Picard 2 is knocked out. He's taking a sick bay where Pulaski looks him over. Geordi and Data try to return power to the shuttlecraft, and they try to find some answers and stuff. I guess they find out that everything that has to be positive it needs to be negative, and what's
right.
Negative.
Somehow the ions have been reversed or something.
When they discover this, Data lets out a little and a little smile. Because
that of a child making a discovery.
And so when the power comes on, the star date pops up, and it's 6 Earth hours in the future. Like how that doesn't come up ever again.
No.
I mean, they did.
Did they say Earth hours in the episode, or they just say 6 hours?
No, it's from original series.
Oh, that's right, because they brought up space time or something.
Yeah, they're I can do this in 3 of your Earth hours. It was
cool. Although, didn't Lincoln say that? Space Lincoln?
Yes, Space Lincoln.
Well, you gotta listen to him. He's like, Earth hours, right? This is the future.
Right?
Time is different.
Yeah, I've got a beard. And I don't just
Full
mean
of
my wife Mary.
I was gay.
You think Abraham Lincoln was gay?
All I'm saying is Tony Kushner wrote the screenplay to the movie.
Who's that guy?
He's a famous gay playwright.
He was?
Is.
Oh.
I said he's a.
Oh, I thought you said he was a.
He was. Now he's not as famous. He's still gay. Still writes plays.
Still super gay, but not as famous.
He wrote Angels in America, which is a very famous work of gay theater.
It's about AIDS and stuff, right?
I think so. I never saw it. I always wanted to. There was an HBO series.
With Al Pacino.
And Emma Thompson?
Emma Watson.
No.
Emma Stone. The Doctor?
Probably. The Doctor, Emma Stone.
So, time travel!
Time travel, Abe Lincoln.
Meanwhile, Picard 2, he wakes up and he's kind of wonkified.
Yeah, he can't talk.
Yeah, he's just moving his eyes around
he can't really see. It's almost like he's physically there, but like his mind can't settle in.
So yeah, they don't get any answers from him.
Right. Troy is insisting that it is Picard. Right?
Yeah, they're like,
no, this is you. And he's like, that's not possible. This guy's a dick.
And she's like, that dude is just as much you as the person standing in front of me, so fuck off. All right?
Like, no,
stop calling me a liar, you bald asshole. There's a meeting.
I hope you get a heart replacement and it's faulty.
And then, for some reason, the doctor who you don't want to operate on you has to operate on you because she's the only one who can do it.
And within the galaxy.
That's super fucked up. Like, why didn't he? Did they explain why he didn't want her tinkering with his ticker? Tinkering.
We'll get. I think they kind of address it. Basically, he doesn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, and he doesn't want anybody to see him weak. So the fact that he would have to be on the operating table for that thing could be seen as.
He should have fired her after that, and that's how they explained her leaving.
That would have been nice.
Or she could have died in that episode where she turned old.
The character's grown on me a tiny bit. I'd still rather have Gates McFadden back. But,
oh, yeah, for sure.
But she's not as much of a dick.
Yeah, she doesn't shit-talk Data
She actually says something very nice to Data this week. But we'll get to that.
So they have a meeting where the logs from the shuttlecraft are played, and it shows the Enterprise getting blown up. Boom! Then it's Captain Picard's, his captain's log, and he says stuff like, I just saw my baby die, I'm the only survivor, just me and my dog. And that's based on the shuttlecraft's star date. Right. That's supposed to happen in 3 hours and 19 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But there are some questions, like why would Picard be? Why would he have abandoned his own ship?
Yeah, Worf especially is perplexed by this.
Why would he have left his ship when it was in danger? That's the big question. Picard. So he's like, why on Earth? And then he starts getting kind of psyched out about it.
Well, Picard's they're like, why would you do that? Why? Explain that. And we're like, someone's like, you wouldn't do that, right? Picard's reaction, isn't very comforting. He's just like, yeah, you're right. I totally wouldn't. It's like, what?
Yeah, because he's getting psyched out because he's like, well, obviously I did do it, so what's up?
Picard 2 starts to come around even more, while Picard 1 grills him like a Guantanamo prisoner. He's like, tell me what you know! Why did I leave the Enterprise? What's happening? Ah!
Pretty much.
I'm just like, put a rag over his face and turn on the water already. Jeez.
I saw Zero Dark 30.
I know what's up.
You'll find Osama bin Laden if you do that.
Have you... I say, have you ever been waterboarded? But have you? I waterboarded myself.
Did
once.
You really?
Yeah.
I don't think that counts.
Well,
that's like saying
no.
you've had sex if you've jerked off.
No. I've done it, and I would be if someone actually did it, I would admit just about anything.
When did you do this?
This was back, when the whole brouhaha was going on.
So early 2000s.
No. This was in 2000. This is just a few years ago.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason that it was a topic of conversation,
2009, 2010.
Oh, that recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to see what the big deal is. And so I laid down in the shower, placed the shower head so it would
fall
on my face, and then put a dish towel over my face.
Did you feel like you were drowning?
Yes. Well, because your instinct is to hold your breath. And you're holding your breath, and the water's just kind of seeping through the towel and pouring over your face. Not a big deal, except when you finally breathe in, the water just drains into your throat and goes back into your throat, and then your instinct is to gag and start coughing up water, but then you just breathe in more water over and over and over. Oh, and then I immediately sat up and took the towel off my face. But imagine if you couldn't. Imagine if it was some dude who's like, hey, you're the reason. I have to listen to Toby Keith all the time now. I'm going to do this for an hour.
Yep. Yeah, I remember the episode of Always Sunny where Frank was doing it to Dee?
Yes. In a urinal.
And was it Dennis who walks in? He's like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I like it.
So... Picard won. Pulaski's like, look, if you continue to freak the geek out, I'm gonna have to relieve you of duty. Cause,
he's like, you're not the boss of me!
You're losing your shit. And Troy tells her to bug her off. And she's like, you don't know what the fuck he's going through. So see, no one likes her.
No, well, that's the thing is, like, whereas McCoy, like, I was talking to Mary Beth this weekend, last weekend, we were in Austin for a birthday party. And,
Tits McGee's birthday.
Tits McGee's birthday. And I was talking to the very knowledgeable Mary Beth, and she told me that apparently the Pulaski data dynamic she was supposed to be like Dr. McCoy, basically, the older doctor who's sort of grumpier and sort of old-fashioned. Uh-huh. The thing is, when McCoy does it, there's a certain charm to it, and it always feels like he really is, it comes from a place of caring. And even whenever he's teasing Spock, it seems to be more of a place of frustration, like impotent frustration, rather than like, I'm better than you, you piece of shit. Like, it's more like, you're my equal, but I'm never going to admit it, and I can't stand you, but God damn it, I respect you, Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, that's a good point, because there is that one, I forgot what episode it's in, but
where they're both in the cell.
Well, someone breaks like their arm or whatever, and she's like, make a splint, and they're like, what is that? Like, get two flat, hard surfaces,
right,
and wrap it around. Like, what? Like, dude, like, we can push a button and make like a full meal. Like, what is this? And she's like, it's
simple medicine.
Fucking simple Navajo medicine from fucking Navajo planet.
And see, when she's doing stuff like that, I like her. But the problem is she doesn't have that same warmth that McCoy had. And I think that's where they screwed up. Because if she...
Not enough mint juleps.
When she was taunting Data, there was any hint of humor or teasing or anything behind it. Like, any sense of, like, I'm challenging you, but, like, you're challenging me back. Instead of, like, oh, it can talk? Does it know how to do this? Like, McCoy would never have said that about Spock. Like, exactly. So, anyway... I just thought that was an interesting point. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you. So Riker he tries to calm Picard one down.
You must chill.
He tells him that this isn't a person or a place that he can figure out.
Right.
It's time, so he should just sort of chillax.
Mm-hmm.
And Picard says, so you're saying I should sit down, shut up, and wait? And Riker's like, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda. He's a cool cat. I'm digging Riker more and more. Especially with the beard.
The whole cast is really growing on me, but Riker especially this year. Like, he really seems to have come into his own.
And then the Enterprise comes upon a surprise vortex! This vortex just, like, shows up out of nowhere.
Space tornado!
So that's what's up. Troy seems to indicate that Vortex has some kind of consciousness and is probing the Enterprise.
Picard pushes everybody down running for the shuttle bay.
He's like, I gotta get out of here. Picard 1 gives the command to chill. And then immediately second guesses himself. He's like, no.
Wait, don't chill.
He's like, yeah, then he commands to get out of there, to bolt out, because staying would have been what he would have done, which is what Picard 2 did, which is what led to all this shenanigans. So he's metagaming, is what he's doing.
He is metagaming.
For you D&D fans, metagaming is when you try to think like the dungeon master would think,
instead of thinking the way your character would
exactly.
think.
So Sean and I are going to play some Dungeons and Dragons later tonight.
Right after this recording.
We're going to talk about Star Trek for about an hour and a half, then we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons.
For like 2.
Boom.
Sunday. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. Lazy Sundays.
Cheers.
I'm drinking some Topo Chico, the official mineral water of Into Dorkness.
I'm having Coke Zero. If anybody's surprised about that, please send us a note.
No one should be surprised by that.
No. Or the Topo.
I enjoy a good Topo.
Do you remember when we were driving back from Austin last weekend, you bought a Mountain Dew, like Code Blue or whatever, a Mountain Dew Kickstart, and a Topo.
Yeah. And
you were like, what order should I drink these in? And we decided you should start with the Mountain Dew and finish with the Topo, working your way from garbage to, like, the cleanse.
As close to natural as you can get, as I can get.
Like, that was the argument. You were like, well, I was going to start with the Kickstart, and I was like, no. Start with the Mountain Dew.
It was the Mountain Dew Voltage. The blue one. Like the bluish, purplish one.
Okay. Anyway, Star Trek. Sorry, we're never going to finish this episode.
They try to leave, but they keep getting sucked in. There's this really cool shot of the ship getting like pulled into the vortex.
Yeah.
That looks very expensive.
Yeah. I would love to see this on Blu-ray at some point. I'd really love to see what they did with the effects. Because on Netflix, it's SD.
Oh, yeah.
I think they remastered some of them. And some of the effects I'd really like to see touched up, because there's some cool stuff.
All of a sudden, an energy beam knocks Picard 1 off his feet and also hits Picard 2 in sickbay.
That's right, Marvel Comics style.
And Picard 1 claims the attack was personal, and after the second attack, Troy's like, oh yeah, dude, it totally is you. So Picard 1's like, I should dip out, so the Vortex focuses its attention on me, and might give the Enterprise a chance to escape. And then he's like, oh, that's why I left the ship. I'm not a coward, I'm a thinker.
I'm a hero.
So Picard 1 and 2 hook up. Picard 1 tells Pulaski to release him. He's like, let him, because he's under restraints.
Right.
Because obviously, like I said, he was wonkified and kind of going crazy. And she's like, do you know what you're doing? And he says, no, release him. Any sass to her is fine in my book. I mean, any backtalk.
Always warranted.
So Picard 2 explains the Vortex as an entity and sees the captain as the brain of the ship, so it tries to destroy the brain.
Right.
Picard 1 tries to convince Picard 2 that leaving the ship won't help, because Picard 2 is like, he's like stuck on, he's like, I gotta leave the ship, I gotta go.
He's not even really a person, really, at this point. He's sort of a shadow that's stuck in this Mobius strip.
Exactly.
Which Worf brings up at one point, the Mobius strip.
Yes. An old Klingon legend. Picard 2 tries to figure out what the other quote other choice was, but Picard 2 is, like I said, being a time displaced idiot. So Picard 1 shoots him just like that, just like boom. Which is that suicide? Is that murder? What is that? What's going on here?
It's suicide
for sure.
But what's interesting is they give him an out so that we know that. Like, earlier in the episode, they say that there will be two versions of him from now on, basically. So him killing that other version of himself doesn't mean that somehow he's damning himself in a few hours. Also, the fact that he's preventing that future sort of keeps it from happening. But, I don't know, it was a little weird.
Well, Picard 1 goes back to the bridge, and he goes, "Vámonos, amigos." And they just drive into the vortex, and
they pass right through it.
Yeah, as they do so, Picard 2 and his shuttle that he came in on disappear, and they come out like unscathed on the other end, out of the vortex's butthole. I guess. Like I don't know how that works. I guess just a hope and a prayer.
Well, I mean, they realized that they couldn't fight their way out of it, but maybe they could endure it. And that's sort of it's a real like Oedipus Rex type thing, right? Like that's sort of the whole thing at the center of the episode is that the very thing you do trying to prevent the tragedy might be the thing that causes the tragedy. So, like, it's good to not know too much about your own future, I guess.
Yeah, true.
But in this case, it helped, because Picard was able to metagame.
Exactly, which, not very cool.
Not very cool, but saved a lot of lives.
Do you try to metagame?
I don't think so.
We've only played a couple times, so it's
right.
hard.
I don't think I'm good enough at playing yet that I could be like, well, this is what's going to happen next.
I try to be.
I try to use the context clues to think as my character would. Is that metagaming?
No, I mean,
like based on your tone of voice when you're saying something, like you're giving us guidance, subtle guidance, right?
I do, and everything has a
purpose.
Has a purpose of a line of logic,
right? Well, I've also known you so long that I like to think that sometimes we're thinking the same thing at the same time anyway. But I try.
That's what makes this show so damn good.
Exactly.
This banter.
Banter.
Yes. How many beads do you think I'm wearing right now? 8? 6? 10? What's going on?
I'm gonna say 8.
We had a birthday party for a good friend, Rody John, last night.
He of the luxurious beard.
We have beads like Mardi Gras beads, kind of.
Like
no titties were shown because
these were given out freely.
Because that's kind of creepy. Right?
Yeah, and it was mostly dudes.
Isn't that?
It is.
That's weird, right?
It is. It's very weird. I would never ask a stranger to show me your breasts, especially in exchange for plastic beads. But I've also never been in a fraternity.
Like what?
It's like some primitive courting ritual or something.
But like, I don't know. I don't understand it, so I think it's stupid.
I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras a couple of years ago.
Say right.
Nolans for Mardi Gras, and I did see a woman flashing.
What about Dan the Shoeshine Man?
Yeah, I think he got swept away in Katrina. He was right by the... should we explain that reference?
Okay, well, Sean claims to have gotten hustled.
Grifted
By a...
What do you mean claims?
Can I finish the goddamn story? Sean claims to have been grifted by a rapscallion by the name of Dan the Shoeshine Man. I contend he was simply outsmarted. He was bested in a game
of bad English. Yes, it was bad English. That's how he got me.
Well, sometimes...
That's not outsmarting me. That's outstupiding me.
You gotta think outside the box, man. He probably pegged you for an English major. He's like that.
I was walking around in my sweater vest and carrying a copy of Moby Dick and gazing longingly at
an earmarked copy, a dog-eared copy,
full
a
of like
copy.
those little neon like Post-its, the arrow-shaped ones,
yes.
So I could find my way to pertinent passages.
Exactly.
And we were right next to a large body of water, so I was gazing longingly out at the water and holding my copy of Moby Dick.
I got some Hemingway there as well.
Yeah.
The Old Man in the Sea.
Yep.
And you're like, that could be me.
It could be me. Right now I'm just a young man, but soon enough I'll be old.
But like in 40 years?
As long as this grifter doesn't knife me.
Like, I'll be right back. This man, Dan the Shoeshine Man, was it $20?
Yeah, basically he was like, let me shine your shoes, it's $20. And of course I'm on a budget. I'm 22 years old.
You're a baller on a budget.
Exactly. I mean, I really shouldn't have been in New Orleans at all, but I kind of got bullied into it by this girlfriend. So, hey, I saw a little bit of the world. So I didn't have much money, for one thing. Otherwise, I would have been like, sure, and made it rain on him. One $20 bill.
And he's like, all right. And you said no at first.
Yeah, I'm like, no, thanks. No, well, I'm wearing Chucks. I'm like, no thanks.
You can't shine these kind of... Not
shoes.
Really. And he says, all right, tell you what, if I can tell you where you got them shoes...
you have to buy a shoe shine.
You have to buy a shoe shine.
For me and for your girl.
And that's $40. And you said, well, there's no way.
He's going to guess.
I'm not even from here. He's probably going to guess some Nollins, shoe joint that everyone knows. But yeah, right.
I figured he'll say something wrong and then I can go.
Yeah. And so he says, if I tell you where you got them shoes, you got to buy a shoe shine for you and your girl. And you said, okay. And what did he say?
Said, you got them on your feet. And then...
You sure as shit did! You sure as shit did!
He dropped to his knees and started shining my shots. And there was another girl traveling with me and my dead girlfriend taking pictures and laughing her ass off the whole time. So those pictures are somewhere of me with, murder on my face. And Dan just smiling up at me as I'm counting out $40 out of my pocket.
So
I was mad about that the rest of the day.
So if you... if you listen to this and care to participate in the online discussion that we have on Facebook.com/Into Dorkness, leave us a comment. Let us know if Sean was grifted or if he was outsmarted. So far, the vote count is 1-1. It's pretty even. As even as it can get. The Icarus factor. Commander Riker's Papa shows up.
Oh God, this one.
And.
This episode has almost no sci-fi in it whatsoever. It's pretty much all domestic drama.
What?
Meaning, isn't it? The A plot is Riker's dad's on board.
Oh, but I mean, let's. It's
most of this could have happened on a planet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On Earth.
Yeah, and with different
trappings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
But the sci-fi trappings are what make this a choice.
Choice nug. Riker, well, he's offered command of
the ship,
the Ares, and he and his Papa shows up in the Enterprise.
His Papa is played by the same actor who played the Man in Black in Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
I don't know what else that actor was in, but I was like, oh, it's that guy.
He and meanwhile, Worf is all sullen and growly.
Yeah. Worf's very sad.
Let's talk about... I was more interested in the Worf storyline than the Riker storyline.
Yeah, so Wesley's
like, what's wrong with Worf? We gotta figure it out, you guys. We're his friends.
And Geordi's like, fucking kid, I've got a job. Okay?
I'm blind. Why don't you figure that out?
Yeah. Why don't you solve that? Instead, oh, poor Klingon who's got his sight is sad about something. Fuck you, kid. Fuck you. Ever since that girl came on board and your boner stopped being latent, you're just not the same. I liked you better before you had pubes.
How does he know he has pubes?
He's got that visor, man. He can see all sorts of shit.
That's a very good point. That's a perfectly valid point.
So Geordi's like, look, you figure it out, and we'll do something about it. And Data's in on it too, right? Or he talks to Geordi, and Geordi's like, fuck you, and Data's like, well, you're right. Worf is our friend.
Well, and Wesley finds out that it's like the 10th anniversary of like his bar mitzvah.
His ascension, yeah.
His ascension, which Into Dorkness viewer, I think it was Mark or Josh. They call it the Klingon bar mitzvah. John will look it up for me, so I can give proper credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I'm going to start leaving the page pulled up.
But he finds out that it's the 10th anniversary of his ascension, and it's supposed to be a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he's supposed to be, like, essentially he has to walk through, like, past a gauntlet of like Klingons, like shocking him like a calf, like with cattle prods.
It's let's see, Times Squared. What was Icarus Factor? It was David Mark.
Our good friend David, who called it a Klingon bar mitzvah, which gave me the chuckles.
Well, it's got the same number of syllables as Werewolf Bar Mitzvah too, so that's
Werewolf Bar Mitzvah, spooky, scary. That's a good song.
It was a great,
great
joke.
And so it's like it's a big deal. We should use the holodeck to create it for him.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh well, his family's supposed to be there, but his family's like dead. His real family.
And we're like, well, we are his family.
Yeah, like we're his homies. We're his brolos. Like we need to be there, and for sure.
And Pulaski too, for some reason.
She's like, I don't want to be any part of that.
But she watches. She shows up on the holodeck.
Does she?
Yeah, she's there. I think.
Someone leads Worf to the holodeck, and then it was like
Troy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
she's
right.
She's
like, nope, I'm cool.
She's like, you'll see. Like, you're acting really strange.
Like, are you coming in with me? She's like, nah, I'm straight.
I gotta wash my hair. I've got a lot of it.
I got so much hair. I'm feeling that you're annoyed by me right now.
I don't understand why, but I'm gonna get clear of the blast radius.
So
anyway, enjoy your bar mitzvah.
So he goes into the holodeck and like gets shocked by these holodeck Klingons.
Yeah, he basically there's a lot of American Gladiators thematics running through this episode.
What? Okay, so this episode came out April '89.
Okay.
So when was American Gladiators like hot?
I remember watching it after SNL in the early '90s. Like that's when it came on. It came on Saturday.
September '89. So maybe they were like.
They watched this episode of Star Trek, and a light bulb went out.
Like, that's what we need!
Over John Gladiator's head.
Over Dan Carr and Joe Ferraro.
At the same time, they're sitting in their studio apartment trying to dream up an idea for a game show. Because they've got a pitch coming up Monday morning. And they see this episode, and they both look at each other at the same time. And they're like, oh my god, we just got rich.
We just became millionaires. So that's pretty much Worf's story, and he walks through, and he's no longer sad.
He endures the pain, and he's happy again because his family took care of him. It's very sweet. I really liked that. That's why we discussed it first, because I like that a whole lot more than Riker. The A plot.
Than Papa Riker and Lil Riker.
Right.
RJ.
Riker Jr.
Papa Riker shows up, and Lil Riker's like, I hate you for not being there for me, and blah, 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 and mom's dead. And
it's your fault or something.
Well, because he mentions in the previous episode when he's making the eggs
that his dad left the cooking to him.
Yeah, he said, like, I became, like, he's like, how did you become such a good cook? He's like, oh, thanks to my dad. He's like, oh, he taught you? He's like, no, I had to cook for myself, so.
Right. He hated that chore, and my mother died when I was young.
And my mother was dead, so she
was a terrible cook.
So she quickly became she became a lousy cook. So Captain Picard's like, hey, congratulations on being the captain of the ship. It's gonna be great. We're gonna be like equals, but I'm still off. It's gonna be better than you because
I'm on the Enterprise.
And
you're gonna be off like on some survey mission out in the middle of nowhere.
That's like super dangerous too.
Yeah, so you're probably gonna die.
You're probably gonna die.
So this is goodbye.
The Vega Omicron sector.
Where ships go to die.
So
that's what it says on the sign going in.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's
tension.
father-son tension throughout the whole episode.
There's generic father-son tension, like you were never there for me. Well, I was hard on you because I wanted to make you better and strong. And
iron sharpens iron.
Right,
steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, the riddle of steel. You may have seen it. Conan the Barbarian. John Milius directed it. No, Oliver Stone screenplay. Okay, you don't know. I can see by your face you don't know.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
It doesn't matter. But, yeah, basically, like, oh, your mother died, and you reminded me of her, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I used to fuck Pulaski, but we never got married because, she's a free agent. And
because she didn't want to be a stepmom. And
yeah, she could not stand you. You were an annoying little... That's the other reason I wanted her home. You were a horrible child.
And Lil Riker was like, her?
Seriously?
Her? Like, word? That's like in that Arrested Development way, like whenever they revealed that Papa Riker and Pulaski boned down, I was like, her? Like, really? All right.
Fair enough. So to settle this,
to settle the score, they
go to anbo-jitsu arena.
Yeah, they.
Oh God.
They compete in a sport called anbo-jitsu.
Now, Becca happened to be in the room for this one, and Becca obviously is not really a Trek fan, but, it has a passing familiarity because her husband's watching it every day. And if this is not one you should let somebody who's not on board for the show see ever, because, like, this is, like...
ridiculous.
If this was the only episode of Star Trek I'd ever seen, I'd be like, I'm done, I'm out, thanks.
Apparently, anbo-jitsu it's the ultimate evolution in the martial arts. So, like, even after, like...
MMA.
Even after, like karate and jiu-jitsu and kung fu and...
ninjutsu.
All this stuff being around for centuries already, like today, in 2013.
Right.
There's still room for perfection.
Absolutely.
And it involves wearing, like, pads.
You're dressed kind of like a Lego spaceman.
A visor that
right, like Luke Skywalker wore.
That you can't see past, and you fight with a bow
stick,
like a bow staff, but on one end
is a puffy thing to hit your opponent
from
with.
American Gladiators.
On the other end is a
proximity sensor, so
right.
It's so when you move it's like, oh, there he is,
bop bop bop,
bop bop bop, I win. Anbo-jitsu,
right?
I'm the champion.
So it's pretty evenly matched. What were you going to talk about?
It's just so stupid.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, maybe if the outfits had been different or something, like if it had looked less stupid.
We'll post a picture of exactly what it looks like. You'll see it by the time this episode's up. We'll have a picture up on facebook.com/IntoDorkness.
The idea of being blinded and having to search out your opponent in the dark isn't a bad idea per se. But, I mean, aside from the generic, father and son have to settle it fist to fist, and that's how they work out their emotions, whatever, fine. I can live with that. But, like, they're in bright white and blue, like, shiny white.
I thought it was red. White and red.
Oh, red. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, white and red. My brain doesn't know the difference between colors. Fun fact.
I'm horribly colorblind.
My wife's black, right?
I'm into black chicks, right? I like Robert De Niro. I like Bobby D, right? We always said you're the Texas Bobby De Niro.
Everybody always said that.
Everyone always.
From my grandma at age 2 up through today.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, the execution of it is so bad.
I thought it would have been really cool if they just like threw 2 sticks at each other, and they're like, this is shit evolved and changed over the years, but we realized like this is the best way. Like just 2 sticks. And just go at it.
Right.
Like, this is kind of like in Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. Like,
yeah, when they're testing for his co-pilot.
And,
I love that scene.
I mean, it's strength and
agility,
smarts, agility and
cunning.
So much cunning. So,
they're pretty evenly matched, which is a shame for Riker Jr. because dude's in the prime of his life.
Yeah,
and this old man.
Like this 60-year-old man.
He's still holding his own. But then, so I think each of them gets a point.
Yeah.
And then Riker Sr. pulls an illegal move, and Riker Jr. is like, hey.
That's illegal. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he
Yeah.
He always did that?
Yeah, he always cheated whenever Will was a kid, so that he was like, I had to keep you interested, right? Had to keep you coming, like a girlfriend,
or
like somebody who wanted to be your girlfriend, like had to keep him interested, right? Huh?
Or like a douchebag boyfriend who's like.
That's why I start fights for no good reason.
Yeah, or like have you put on some weight? And even though the girl hasn't, just to keep her in the gym and make her keep her self-esteem low. And, I mean, just the worst
emotionally abusive In fact, it's amazing Riker turned out to be such a good man.
Yeah.
With as few problems as he seems to have. He doesn't like his dad, but other than that, he's a great father figure.
Yeah.
He's a great officer.
A very generous lover.
Apparently, yeah. The rulers of planets vie for his penis.
So, but yeah, you said didn't Riker realize this at some point?
He didn't realize until this moment.
Until it happened again. He's like, wait a minute, that's illegal. Wait a minute, you've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, you would think whenever he was going through formal training at the academy or something, he would have pulled one of those moves, and they're like, whoa, bro!
Don't you know that's illegal? Oh, my dad did it all the time.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, well, that's illegal, guy. You can't do that.
That's prison rules.
And that's like combat rules. Remember combat ball? Did you play a lot? I played a lot of basketball growing up.
Oh, I never played basketball.
And we would play combat ball, which is, it wasn't no rules, but you could foul pretty hard sometimes, right. And get away with it. We weren't throwing elbows and
knees and dicks.
Yeah,
and
knees
stuff.
and dicks and stuff. But you could shove a little. You can you get a little rough. We like to roughhouse sometimes when we're feeling a little ornery.
Well, kids need to roughhouse.
They
until
do.
Somebody starts crying.
They do.
It's a weird balance because they want to get that energy out and they've got that aggression just
because they're
full of energy.
They're fuck nuts and crazy.
Exactly. They don't have that available to them yet.
Yeah.
But they still have that energy. See the life force, man. It's in your nuts. When you start jerking off and fucking, it goes away. That's why you age. If you stop coming, you could arrest aging forever.
Man, I wish I'd known that when I was
11.
No, I wouldn't want to stay 11 my whole life.
You're right. You jerk off till you're 18.
No, 20.
I'd stay at
24.
I would have stopped before 24.
23.
Well, I guess we talked about this, right?
We did.
Where would you stop? I guess somewhere in my early
25, because then I could rent a car.
Yeah, run for Congress.
Which are the only two things that matter to me, ever, that have ever mattered to me. Running for Congress and renting a car.
How old do you have to be to get a hotel room?
18. You just need a credit card.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, that's...
So I was golden.
Yeah. You can say 18, and it wouldn't be weird. Be like, why are you hanging out with this 18-year-old kid? He's like, well...
He's actually 50.
You don't actually understand.
He stopped coming.
We're both actually 50. We just don't come anymore. Wait, what?
Shut up.
Do I... What
don't you understand?
What did I say that you don't understand? We're both 50. We just don't come anymore.
We both have elephantitis in the nuts because our body's not getting rid of it for some reason. It's you've got eternal youth, but your ball sack just keeps growing.
Would you do that? You get eternal youth, but your ball sack keeps growing. No.
Well, I do it up to a point. So I guess I would slow down my aging, but not stop it entirely. So once it got to the point where I couldn't wear my shorts anymore, my jeans, I'd be like, all right, take another year off.
A year?
Well, I assume that I've let it build up so much.
Depends on the growth to age ratio.
Yeah, it's true. Let's say that for every year of life that you don't jerk off, so you're basically you could age 1 year for every 2. So at this point, but all right, let's say you're able to come at 12. So in theory, if you stop jerking off at 12 or 11 or whatever, you could stay that age, but you didn't get wise to it till you were 24.
Okay.
So 2 years for every 1. So since you're 30 now, so you would only be 27 in body age? Because you live 2 years, but you only age 1. Yeah, I'd rather come.
Because coming's pretty sweet.
It's about all I've got left now that I'm 30.
That's pretty much it. That's Star Trek.
Yeah. And fuck it, if Star Trek's going to keep throwing anbo-jitsu at me, I might as well just stick to coming.
Yeah, seriously. But the next episode's pretty good. Pen Pals.
Yeah. I think Josh said that Data gets catfished.
Data gets catfished. Well, there's two plots. One involving...
There are a lot of A and B plots this week. pretty evenly matched.
Did you recognize? Okay, well let's start from the beginning. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Wesley is put in charge of the science team. They're gonna go like look at rocks and stuff.
Yeah, there's a geological survey of an area because a lot of the planets seem to have the same catastrophe happen to them, and there's one where it looks like it's about to happen. So they want to
survey and see what's going on.
Because they're science.
They pick Crusher. They pick Wesley because he's because he's qualified, but they also need to.
They want to give him a chance with command to kind of learn.
To build his confidence and get him that experience with with being the boss.
God willing, we all had such good mentors.
Seriously.
Like Wesley has the best family group you can have while being millions of light years away from your mother.
And so there's one little motherfucker. Wesley's comes in and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm the boss." And he's like, yeah, if you ever feel like you're getting overwhelmed, just shoot me a sign and I'll take over. And Wesley's like,
I think I'll be okay.
I think I'll be able to handle it. And then goes back again. He's like, hey, run this test. He's like, oh,
it would take a long time.
Man, we don't even know that it's gonna be worth it.
Chances are, it's probably not going to be worth it. And Wesley's like, oh.
And he's like, well, we should be thorough. There's a difference between being thorough and wasting time.
So Wesley goes to get drunk at 10 Forward.
drink
himself stupid.
Chocolate milk.
Until he's milk drunk.
And Guinan tells, not Guinan, who tells, isn't it
Pulaski?
Riker, that's who it is.
Because he's like, Riker's trying to get it on with somebody. And he's like, hey, can you help me? And he's like, he's got 2 drinks in his hand and he sets it down and he's like, family emergency.
And he's like, look, dude, you need to fucking grow a set.
Right, we gave you this job so you could learn how to be in charge. And you have to be an idiot to think you're never going to make a mistake.
Okay.
And, he's like, and then he also asks him, is this the scene where he asks him, why don't you think anybody questions
why do you think I blew up your condo?
Exactly. Turns out Riker is actually just a figment of Wesley's imagination. Yeah. That Wesley's actually been second in command the whole time.
Crazy turn of events in this episode.
Far-reaching implications.
This is where Riker...
Yeah, he's like, why do you think they don't question Captain Picard? And he's like, well, because he's the captain. He's like, it's not the only reason. What's the other reason? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, when you know the answer to that, you'll be ready for command.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
Again, I love the emphasis on teaching in this show. It's really, I really like that.
He just doesn't tell him, just fucking assert yourself and kind of yell sometimes.
Right. Well, he actually, they've taken an interest in this kid. And, even though, he'd rather be getting his fuck on with the lady over there, it's like...
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. She's lovely. I don't even remember who it was.
I'm sure...
If Riker's after her, she must be a choice nug of a lady.
Top shelf.
Top shelf.
Creme de la creme.
The prime rib.
The prime rib
of Starfleet.
Of Space Punani.
But yeah, so Wesley goes back and he says to the guy, I want to run that test. And the guy's like, okay.
He's like, sure, go ahead. All right, let's do this. Go ahead, you do it. Right away.
I really liked that turn, though, that all Wesley had to do was actually act like the boss.
He comes in and he's like, hey, I want you to go ahead and run that test. All right.
Do you think the guy was waiting for him to do that, to see if he would? Or do you think
I think he respected that.
Okay, so that, and Wesley's, oh, sure.
Well, because, there's...
Before that, he saw Wesley as weak, and so he didn't trust his leadership.
In a call center environment, it's it's always if someone's like, hey, what's it, someone calls in, they're like, why did I get charged this? If you're like, oh, well, it was because of this, that's why you got charged. I'll be like, that doesn't sound like you, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Give me to someone else. But if you're confident in what you're telling them, they'll buy it, even if it's a lie.
Yeah. No, it's true. I encountered the same thing in, I used to work in a bookstore, right? And bookstores, I don't know if this is still true, but back when I worked at a bookstore, when books were still a thing, before they started dying.
What are books?
Exactly.
What's a store?
You mean like an Amazon?
You mean like an e-site?
Like an e-retailer?
You worked at an Amazon?
Wow, what was that like? Did you meet him?
Did you meet Johnny Amazon?
Is he everything?
Is he as cool as I think he is?
I love his invention. The Kindle is amazing.
So good.
How did he think of that?
How?
Did you ask him?
You didn't ask him, did you? Stupid fuck.
No, I worked at a Barnes & Noble for 8 years, and we sold a lot of study aids. I don't know if we still do, but basically, SAT, LSAT, all this stuff. And people would come in to buy these things, and, there are like 8 different brands. You've got Barron's, you've got, Cliff Notes would sometimes have their own version, et cetera, et cetera. And people would come in to buy a study guide, and I'd show it where it was and the one for the test they were looking for, and they'd be like, well, which one's the best one? And of course, I don't know, because the fuck am I studying for the LSAT for? I work at Barnes & Noble, and I'm 17. But what I figured out was, as long as I told them something with confidence, that's usually what they would pick up. I'd be like, oh, well, most people end up buying this one. I hear this one's the best. You might take a look through and see if it's got what you need. And usually, if you say it with confidence, people listen. Like, people are drawn to that, and they can smell weakness like dogs. And they will chew you to pieces.
Did you ever have any people come back and be like, "You're shitty LSAT primer or whatever"?
I was gonna be a lawyer.
It's your fault.
No.
They all
sent me fruit baskets.
Yeah, like, thank you. You're the reason I'm a lawyer today.
Enjoy this cheese and wine basket.
Enjoy this edible arrangement with
this bouquet of food.
Have you ever had an edible arrangement?
No, what's that?
Oh, you don't know what that is?
No.
It's fruit.
Oh, I love fruit.
And it's like arranged, and it's edible because it's fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It's arranged to kind of like a flower bouquet. It's very, very nice.
So it's pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
How's the fruit itself?
And fruit's delicious. I mean, you know that. They're all like freshly made.
Okay.
I mean,
I've never even heard of this.
No, it's awesome.
So it's the same banana I'd get at Target, but it's prettier?
Well, I mean, it's got a bunch of other fruit.
Okay, so like fruit that you might not normally get?
Well, I mean, just think of like a flower bouquet.
Okay.
But it's fruit.
Sounds good. I'll eat it.
Like an arrangement of flowers, but it's edible.
But you can eat it, so it's useful.
Yeah. Like, I remember I had a girlfriend who was doing it. Yeah, right? Like, having sex and stuff. She was doing...
dolphin style.
She was doing, like, a Biggest Loser thing at work. And, I mean, she wasn't... and luckily, she was a very attractive woman. I want to throw that out there.
She wasn't a Samaritan snare type.
Very
person.
Beautiful woman on the outside. She was doing.
Isn't all that matters, really?
She was doing this Biggest Loser thing at work. Seeing who could lose like the biggest percentage of weight, not just like overall weight.
Right.
And at the midway point, she had won. Like she had lost like the most weight, like the most percentage of weight. I want to emphasize that again.
Right.
Very beautiful woman on the outside.
Bought a tapeworm.
And so I had her send an edible arrangement. I'm like, hey, congratulations! Like, here's something you can eat. You can eat because it's fruit. It's healthy. You can do that. And then when she actually won the whole thing, she won it by like
an ounce.
Like pretty much like half a pound. Like this dude.
Wasn't there some big guy who actually made a major lifestyle change?
Kind of, yeah.
And she took it away from him. The way that pretty people have been stealing stuff from normal people for time immemorial.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty on the outside.
Well, I mean, she did look a lot better afterwards.
Well, and hey, you know what? He made a good change in his life.
Good for him.
Good for him.
You know,
that health is the real reward.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
At that point, I ordered her pizza, and it was sent to her work because I'm like, hey, you did it. Now you can kind of
eat this
while I watch. So, pen pals.
Oh, yeah.
Pen pals.
Wesley, so we've already talked kind of our way through the... Would you say that's the A or the B plot? The name of the episode is Pen Pals, so you think Data's the A plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, they discovered this... this planet that they're supposed to be researching...
Data hears a transmission from it.
Yes. He finds a transmission. It's this little girl saying, help me.
Is anybody out there?
Someone help me. And Data starts this online relationship with this voice, and he's like ASL, and she's like 18FCA. Aren't they? There are a lot of 18-year-old females in California.
Well, they have higher 18-year-old per capita.
Right? And it's like, so, like, what are you into? Like, oh, surfing,
acting.
It's
trying to get my modeling career.
Like, but people say my boobs are too big. LOL, winky face. We should catfish people. We're really good.
I think it's hard. Well, yeah, all we have to do is find some
robot.
Yeah, well, I was going to say some pictures of an attractive lady to put on our profile, because now it's not just text you're communicating with. Like, people want pics.
Yeah, full body pics, too.
Really? Full body pics? I haven't used a dating website, so...
Well, I mean, Napoleon Dynamite. Remember?
I haven't seen it since it was in the theater.
His brother, Kip, he's like, I'm kind of TO'd because she hasn't sent me a full body pic yet. Those are important, The face can be deceiving.
It's true.
The face is the great deceiver. Is that Satan? Is the Satan the great deceiver?
Yeah. Or is really, it's the face.
It's the face.
It's the human face.
The human face is the great deceiver. We are cracking ourselves up this week.
Yeah, let's get...
I enjoy it. This is more of a conversation. I love it. You're my best friend, man.
You're my best friend, man. Let's get in this bed. You're sitting on a bed right now.
I'm sitting on a bed.
My wife's in the next room.
Having all manner of conversations and fun. So Data, has this person, and he's like, I need to help this person.
Right.
I kind of told him that we would help.
Yeah, he goes to Picard, and he's like, I broke the Prime Directive, and Picard has to climb down off the horse he's riding on the holodeck.
He's riding a horse on the holodeck.
He's like, God damn it!
Goddamn Data!
You piece of shit! Which is weird that Data would make that choice, because you would think as a machine...
Yeah.
That, he would be thinking of the letter of the law first.
Yeah.
Instead of making this very human choice.
Yeah, and Picard is the opposite way. He's like, look, we can't just go around saving everybody,
Right.
Sometimes it's their fate, pretty much.
Yeah, and so they actually get into I liked that. They got into a real philosophical discussion about what to do about this in the captain's quarters.
Yeah.
They're just sitting around in his room kind of talking about, well, what if it's their fate? And he's like, are you, and Riker says that, and he's like, somebody else is arguing, and he's like, well, I think it has to be part of the discussion, at least.
Yeah.
That might be what has to happen.
He's like, who do we say? What about if it's like a plague? Do we save if millions are to die? Do we save them? And plus, he's like, yes. And what if it's a war? And she's like, then she shuts up real fucking quick.
And he's like, see?
Huh? Captain!
Yeah!
Hey!
Don't touch my heart.
But then he hears the little girl. Her name is Sarjenka, and he hears and he's like, I can't
let this little asshole die.
Fine, Data.
I'll break the Prime Directive, but they find a way to kind of wiggle around it.
Well,
they break it, but they make it okay, I guess.
I forgot how they.
This is when Star Trek's at its best, when they're trying to find a solution to an impossible problem. Same thing with Superman. Man of Steel, you fucked that up.
Well, the reason.
So how do they actually talk? Is it just when he hears her voice? Basically, they make an appeal to his emotions by
pretty
playing
much,
the voice?
Yeah. They figure out that that planet, that same geological craziness that's happening on other planets,
mm-hmm.
that's happening on this planet. That's what's going to make it. That's what's going to destroy it.
Right.
They figured out a solution. At one point, where Picard is what's is this going to work? And Crusher's like, well, it depends. No, hypotheticals. Give me a yes or no. And
right.
Crusher's like,
we'll get to work.
We'll do it. We'll do it. So Data goes down, gets Sarjenka, who's this little orange girl with the crazy hair.
And creepy long fingers.
Yeah, creepy long fingers. Not all of them, though. Just some of them.
Just a couple of them.
Crusher and his team fix the problem. They do a weird thing. Oh, that's how they fix the Prime Directive.
Data's allowed to go down and make sure she's safe while they're doing this, I guess?
Well, they wipe her memory.
Yes. They put her in sickbay, they put her under, and then, they wipe that part of her memory.
Yeah.
And then he puts her back in her bed.
With the singing stone that Pulaski had given her. And she's like, Data, why doesn't it sing for you? He's like, because I'm a robot.
And Pulaski's like, God damn right.
There you are. You fucking forget it!
Where's my rock?
Ba, ba, ba. Did you recognize Sarjenka at all? No?
No, who was it?
Nikki Cox.
What?
Yep.
Nikki Cox?
I didn't recognize her.
I would. Why would I have recognized her? She was like 8, right?
Well, I didn't recognize her. Like, obviously, she was 8. And I don't know. I kind of don't remember what she looks like. I just remember the breasts. Sure. But when you're like, oh, that's Nikki Cox, you're like, oh yeah, for sure that is Nikki Cox.
Well, the nose is the big giveaway.
The nose. The little beep, beep, boop, 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 boop.
She married Jay Moore.
I think they're divorced now, which is sad. Yeah, that's a sad story.
She also had some pretty rough plastic surgery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, it's such a gamble. Oh, and it's not. It's a bad thing to do in your face. Period. Like, just age. Let it happen.
Like Diane Lane. Although
she probably got work done, but not like that.
Just like a little lift here, a little tuck there.
Yeah,
nothing
tuck.
Like crazy. Tuck, bro.
That's the name of the game.
Nip tuck. Shit.
Q
who?
The highlight of the week.
Great episode. Sonia Gomez, who was without her 3rd Total Recall boob, spilled some coffee or something.
On that's who
her.
That is.
That's her.
I wonder why I got a boner as soon as I heard her voice.
Bang. She spilled some coffee or something on Picard.
Picard's like, you piece of shit, get off my ship, blow her out the airlock. That's not what happens.
No, Picard just goes to his room to change, but he's kidnapped by Q.
Right. When he's trying to go to his room, he steps through a door, and boom, he's in a shuttlecraft.
Yeah, and Q, who turns around like the most dramatic way possible.
Because
it's me.
Q is definitely a fan of the theater.
Q's plopped him and Picard on the shuttle, and they dip out without anyone knowing.
He wants to join the crew, he says.
But Guinan knows. She knows everything. She feels something's up.
She calls the bridge.
Yeah, and it leads Riker to investigate.
Right, and she's like, where's the captain? And he's like, No, she's like, is anything happening up there?
And he's like, no, everything's fine. How are you?
We're all fine here now. How are you?
And she's like, who is this?
What's your operating number?
And he shoots the intercom. And he's like, that was a boring conversation anyways. We got company.
Yep. Credits. Great episode.
That's an excellent episode.
Card never comes back. It's weird. They just dropped that thread.
Yeah, he's in the next week's episode. Just no
I just assumed something horrible happened.
Very short episode, too. like 3 minutes long.
2 of which are a ripoff directly of Star Wars. Homage, whatever. Great episode.
Worf discovers that the missing shuttle, and the computer confirms that Picard
is not on the ship.
His lack of being there-ness. They look for him, but Q's taking him too far away. But you're right. Like, Q's like, I want to join the Enterprise crew.
Picard's like, fucking no.
Meanwhile, he's dicking around with Picard and playing some wall ball. And then suddenly they're back on tin forward with Guinan.
She puts her claws up.
She's gonna fight Q like tiger style.
They know each other.
Apparently they got some beef.
And Q claims that she's not what she appears to be.
Yeah, she's nothing but trouble.
And she should not be on the ship.
Riker and Worf show up, and it's revealed that Q has been kicked out of the Q Continuum Clubhouse.
Right.
Probably because of that shit he pulled with Riker before.
Yeah. I mean, he got in trouble for that.
So he says he wants to be on the crew because it's the only time he's ever had fun, and he's willing to renounce his powers to do it.
And Picard's actually pretty curious about the idea. Like, he's not philosophically opposed to it because, I mean, their mission is to
he's like, I'd
learn about new life.
Like, I would love to, like, crack your head open and see what makes it tick, but
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you, bruh. How can I trust you?
Yeah, seriously. You kidnapped me 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago, I thought I was going to die.
With you. Which is not how I pictured it.
Pictured it on a horse, maybe?
With a rope around my neck.
Listening to NXS.
But the horse was there.
Q teases some crazy stuff being out there, the likes of which the Federation has never seen. Now, I didn't look up this episode before I watched it.
Me neither.
And so I'm like, the Borg, please let it be the Borg. Auga, it was the Borg.
That was a great... I wonder if... I think it probably has a greater impact now because, we know what they are than maybe it did back then because they're like, oh, that's the villain of this week or whatever. But, like, since you know in advance that that's sort of the big bad for Next Generation, that's like the fan favorite villain. Like when that cube just comes rolling up out of space, you're just like, oh shit. That's like the moment at the end of Batman Begins where Gordon hands the playing card to Batman. He's like, calls himself the Joker, and they turn over the card. You're like, holy shit, it's fucking on!
It is on, but then he died, and that's sad.
That's sad, and we got a broken version of Batman 3 because of that, I think. I really think the Joker was supposed to play a bit.
You really think so?
I think he was part of the plan for Part 3, and that they had to scramble to find a way to finish the story without the Joker. And I think part of how they did that was by moving so far into the future.
What do you think the story would have been?
I'm not sure. I don't know how it would have played out, because what's interesting is you watch Batman Begins and then you watch Dark Knight Rises, and those two feel like they're more of a piece than Dark Knight feels with either of them, because like Dark Knight's almost the side project now, because the other two are all about the League of Shadows and all the, and all of that, whereas the second one's all about the Joker and the soul of Gotham City. So I don't know. But how do you not bring that guy back, right? I mean, he said we're going to be doing this forever in his final
forever.
Scene, which that, I don't know about
forever,
you. The first time we saw that in the theater, I kind of got the shivers. But that was such a good performance.
Very good.
Anyway, back to Trek.
Picard still like shrugs him off, and
fuck you.
Q gets pissy, like snaps his fingers, and the Enterprise is flung,
gets slapped,
like into the far reaches of space, like years from the nearest starbase.
They're 2 years from the nearest starbase, right?
Like at warp 9.
Yeah, at maximum. Yeah.
So they're like, Guinan and your people have been here. Like, what do you think? And she's like, I think we need a GTFO. Like,
right.
Post haste, bruh. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Because my people were scattered to the winds.
But of course, Picard wants to explore. He's an explorer at heart.
And they make some mention of the destruction being very similar to the star bases in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
So, like, that was my first clue. Is like, oh, it's got to be the Borg.
Yep.
And I love how they've been threading that. Like, there's real continuity in the show.
Yeah, like the Romulans, like, was that you? Like, no. Was that you? Like, no. Huh.
And they don't resolve it in that episode. Yeah.
And then the giant floating cube rolls up.
And you're like, holy shit!
And Guinan's like, they are the Borg, and they are total badasses.
Know this.
Know this, dear reader.
And then one of them beams onto the ship.
Yeah,
and that was a really creepy scene.
Like, and he's just like messing around like a console.
And they're shooting him.
And Geordi finds him. Q's like, oh, he's just a scout. He may try to take control of the ship, but I mean, like, this is nothing like,
compared to what?
Like, what can actually happen?
Right.
A security guard gets like hate shoved into a wall, like when he confronts the Borg, and then he just shrugs off a phaser blast from Worf. He's just kind of like, whatever. I guess it was set to stun.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even like phase him. The phaser doesn't phase him.
No, he's like,
you would think that it would at least phase him. It's a phaser.
It's a phaser. It's built for phasing.
You'd think he'd be like, hey, I got phased.
But hey, knock it off.
Stop with the phasing.
Try to steal your shit.
He starts mucking with the ship, so Worf blasts him full power.
That gets him.
Yeah, that's what gets him.
Another one shows up.
Yeah, and he's got this little shield, so Worf can't get to him.
They evolved that quickly. And doesn't he pull stuff off the dead one?
He picks parts of him, like he's a character in Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly. You want these boots I took off a dead man?
I'll pay 20 gold for those.
It was genuinely creepy.
Yeah,
like they're a very effective villain so far in their very first appearance.
They both teleport out, and Guinan again explains that they're badasses and that the Borg
they wiped out her people.
And the Borg sends the Enterprise a message that to the Enterprise that they're F, but like, hey, guys, like you guys are fucked. Like we're gonna get what we want, and they suck them in with a tractor beam. They have a little skirmish, a little firefight.
The Enterprise gets some blows in.
Get some casualties.
Yeah.
18 people die.
Yeah.
The Borg ship is now 20% damaged. And so Picard orders an away team to the cube.
Which I was like, fucking don't!
Yeah, like Guinan's like, you don't want to do that! And I was like, that doesn't sound very smart at all. Mm-mm. We get some shots of the inside. Looks dope.
Yeah, I love that pullback. That looked like they spent some money on it.
They did. They spent a lot of money on this episode, which is why the season finale is a clip show and sucks.
Oh no, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's a bummer.
This went
know
like
that.
crazy over budget.
Well, it's worth it, I would say, because this is, aside from Measure of Man, this is my favorite of season 2 so far.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hands down.
Riker finds a Borg baby, which is like all sorts of cute and like creepy.
It's adorable, but it's like got little. It reminded me of the Matrix. Like the Wachowskis must have had that episode in mind whenever
the
they
Wachowski siblings.
Well, yeah, the siblings now. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were always siblings, but they used to be.
What can you call it? Yeah, there's no.
Just the Wachowskis.
The Wachowski. Remember when we were the Wachowski fiends?
Mm-hmm.
The Wachowski friends.
Friends. That was our powerhouse producing company.
So it turns out that no one is paying attention to them because they're all like focused on fixing the ship. They're all like plugged in and focusing their energy on getting the ship repaired.
Because it's a hive mind.
And so Picard's like, oh shit, okay, well then get out and let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
But the Borg catches up with them, and Q pops up again and says like, look, you'll never outrun them. Like you're fucked. And Picard's like, fine, I was wrong. You're a dick. Help us. And he's like, oh, you know. And Picard's really awesome in these things. He's like, you wanted me to say I was wrong? Fine, I'm wrong. There, I said it.
Save my people.
Yeah. Q snaps his fingers again, and the Enterprise is back where it was at the beginning of this whole shebang-a-bang.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise is safe. The Enterprise is safe, but
now the Borg know about them.
The Borg knows.
And they probably downloaded the contents of the ship at this point, so they know where to go. So, doesn't Picard say, he's like, well, he gave us a glimpse into things to come so we can prepare. It gave us a hit to our arrogance. She's like, yeah, but now they know you're here, so they're going to be coming for you sooner than they would have. Yeah,
Guinan is like, you know, this
is bad.
Like, they shouldn't have, like, the Federation shouldn't have met up with the Borg for a while, for a minute, but Q's interference
caused it.
Yeah, so I don't know what to tell you guys.
Now they're gunning for you.
Now they're coming.
Omar on the stroll. You haven't seen The Wire.
The buzzards are coming. I haven't seen The Wire.
You know what's funny is
okay? I thought stop bringing it up every day.
I can't. You got to see The Wire.
You text me every day.
You seen The Wire yet?
No.
Omar on the stroll.
Hashtag Omar on the stroll.
Such a good episode. It sort of reminded me of the end of the Cronenberg Bugs Living Inside of People episode, where it's just sort of this ominous, except we know this one really pays off.
Yes, absolutely.
And I like it better than the Bugs episode because it didn't make me want to throw up.
Didn't it, though? Didn't it?
Emotionally, yeah. Great episode.
The last episode of this week is Samaritan Snare. I didn't really enjoy this episode all too much.
I enjoyed the B-plot.
What was the B-plot?
Picard and Wesley in the shuttle.
Oh, yeah.
This is an episode of strong, B-plots. Or this is a week of strong B-plots and really kind of iffy A-plots.
Well, the A-plot is there's this broken down ship. Well, Picard's off. Picard needs to get his artificial heart. It's starting to break down.
Right. And he doesn't want Pulaski to do the surgery.
Because he doesn't want the crew to know.
Right. He doesn't want her to see him in that weakened state because he feels like, I'm the captain, I have an image, I can't let them see me weak. So
he goes off to the starbase for the operation.
Where Wesley is also going for some Starfleet exams.
And so they're like, hey, let's carpool.
And well, he says, hey, can I bum a ride? And Wesley's like, what? I mean, yeah, sure.
I guess.
Fine. Yeah.
And so Picard seems to be just fine, reading during the 6-hour journey. And Wesley wants to talk to him. He's like, hey, I know how you feel about me, how you feel about kids, how you hate kids and shit.
He's like, keep me company so I stay awake. Stop reading a book.
And Picard's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I know you hate kids, which sucks.
It's all over your fucking face.
You would have been a great dad. And at this point, Picard gets up and goes to the back of the RV.
Pulls the curtain.
And I mean they kind of connect. Yeah. Meanwhile, in the Enterprise, Riker's in command. They come across this broken down hoopty. And these aliens are
fat unibrowed.
Yeah, they're like, our ship is broken. We don't know how it works. We
look for things to make us go.
And Riker's like, can you be more specific? He's like, smart things that make us go. And he's like, oh my fucking god!
Let's beam Geordi over to help, and Worf's like, no!
Yeah, and Geordi's like, based on their ship, I could have their shit running in like a minute.
And Worf's like, wouldn't it be better just to tell them? And Riker's like, do you really think explaining it to them is going to work?
And Worf's like, whatever, dude. Fucking don't listen to me.
Watch what happens. Watch what happens every time you don't listen to me.
And so they beam Geordi over, and they're like, he is smart. He will make us strong. Yeah. And
they kidnap him.
They kidnap him. They phaser him, and they kidnap him. They put a shield up that the Enterprise can't beam Geordi back from.
Right. So and they don't want to open fire because they could kill him.
Yeah, they could kill Geordi.
Right.
So
there's some back and forth. Well, the Enterprise crew comes up with a plot.
A ruse.
A ruse. Original series style.
Yeah. And essentially what they do is they get Geordi in on it by like the way that they're talking, the way that like they're like, sorry Geordi, we're gonna have to leave you there, and he's like, what, you're just gonna leave me here? He's like,
I'm sad you won't see the 24th level of
like warriordom or whatever.
Yeah, warriordom.
And he's like, the 24th level? He's like, yes, the 24th level.
Oh, and somehow the space dummies don't understand.
Well, they're space dummies.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but they're cunning space dummies.
I mean, I guess they use their
dumminess to their advantage.
Yeah,
but they're still dummies at heart.
So
basically, they're an example of what happens when you don't follow the Prime Directive.
Yeah, true.
They are way out of their depth.
Which, okay, so this was I was trying to think, like, what this could be, like, a parallel to, like, in real life. Like, what's going on this time?
Middle East. I don't know.
Late 80s.
Isn't that when the Iran-Contra stuff was blowing up?
Kinda. No,
that was early.
Yeah, that was early 80s.
That was Reagan. That wasn't Bush.
Was this Afghanistan giving money to
the Taliban?
Yeah.
To fight the Ruskies?
To fight the Soviets. Is that what's going on here?
Wasn't that the plot of Rambo 3?
That came to bite us in the ass.
Yeah, where Rambo teams up with Al-Qaeda.
That really came back to bite us in the ass. So
great long-term thinking, bro.
They like shoot out some hydrogen gas.
And Geordi calls it their Crimson Force Field.
Yeah, and they're like, oh no, and so they drop their force field. They're able to beam Geordi back, and they're like, oh, you tricked us, blah, and they're like,
open fire.
And they need to get out of here quickly because on that starbase,
Picard's surgery is going poorly.
Yeah, the guy's like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how to fix them. There's only one person who can do that, and it's Pulaski, and so, but they need to like hightail it or else Picard will die.
Right.
They end up making it. All the surgeons wear this like weird like red
hat,
like and like garb.
They look like. Do you remember those? Was it the Intel commercials where you had the guys in the little neon jumpsuits in the late 90s doing the dancing to the disco song, or was it the Mac commercial?
Oh, I don't know. They kind of look like a combination between like the Crimson Guards from Star Wars
and AIM agents from 1960s Marvel comics with the square heads.
Yeah, and like something from like the Vatican.
All three of those professions teamed up
and like became Starfleet surgeons.
Yeah. You would think in a world where like medicine is so advanced that we've never seen Pulaski in a surgical gown in her own sickbay, like that. Like the most you ever saw Crusher in was that blue jacket.
Yeah.
But whatever. But yeah, Picard wakes up and she's there and he's like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "Oh, you're welcome. I just saved your life." Slaps a bloody glove on his face and walks out.
Oh, even the gloves are red.
Yeah.
I guess maybe so like when the blood shoots out, they're
exactly.
like, oh.
They're like, whatever, I don't have to buy a new one.
Yeah, it's whatever. You can't even tell. You can't even tell.
You can't. Tell me you can tell.
Tell me you can tell.
You're a liar.
You're a liar.
You're a liar, Ben.
There was blood over here, not blood over there where you pointed to. So
you're a fool.
I like you, but you're a liar.
Anyway.
Next week is the end of season 2,
including a clip show. Apparently.
Yes,
I'm so bummed about that.
We've got Up the Long Ladder, Manhunt, The Emissary, Peak Performance, and then Shades of Grey, which is the Clips episode, which is it's pretty much reviled as the worst episode
of
the Next Generation. I mean, we're probably not gonna talk about it a whole lot.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just clips of things we've already seen.
But I mean, we'll be able to talk about Up the Long Ladder, Manhunt, The Emissary, and Peak Performance, and at the Mountains of Madness for our first Into Dorkness book club.
Book Club Into Dorkness.
Book Club Into Dorkness. So that's
at the Book Club of Madness.
So that's what we've got for next week. Thanks for listening. Facebook.com/Into Dorkness. Tell your friends. Like, listen, love, share. We love you. We love you so much. We love everyone.
We have to cheat sometimes just to keep you interested in wanting more, but it's for your own good.
And you should probably hit the gym. You look like you've gained a few pounds.
Yeah.
But we still love you.
We love you, but that could tip.
At any point.
Right.
We're going to go get some Twizzlers and play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, we are.
All right. LLAP.
KO.
This has been an Into
Did you?
You did, didn't you?
You
nasty.